What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Escape from Tarkov video. Today we'll be mixing things up just a little bit. We're going to go through what I would say a beginner to intermediate tips and tricks for those who recently joined the Escape from Tarkov addiction. In this video, I'm going to go over a few things that helped me in my journey. If you've recently started playing Escape from Tarkov, you know the learning curve is insanely steep when it comes to certain control mechanics, healing, gun modding, hideout. So in this video, I'm going to go over a few tips and tricks that helped me when I first started picking up the game. I'm going to assume you have a very basic understanding of Escape from Tarkov. I am going to be going over learning the maps, extractions, loot, as well as healing mechanics, quest items, and gun modding. So if you enjoyed the video today or learn a few things, please consider leaving a like on this video, subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and I will see y'all in the next one. So starting off with learning the maps. There are now 10 maps to learn in Escape from Tarkov, and while it can seem daunting at first, I promise that over time the maps will become much more familiar to you, and there are a few things that you can focus on first to help you learn them quicker. So the first thing you're going to want to do is learn this website, mapgenie.io. This is an interactive layout of all the maps in Escape from Tarkov. So for example, here we have customs, and the way I used this map when I first began would be to come over here, hide all of the icons, and only show the extractions and the spawn points. So each time I loaded into a raid, I would locate first where I was spawned in at, and then check my extractions. And this is the important part: plan my route. Plan where I'm going to go. So for example, let's say I spawned between Crossroads and Railroad to Port, and I knew I had to get to dorms for a quest. I knew I had to cross this river somehow and make my way over to dorms. Now the extractions are color coded. This green color is for PMC extracts, the yellow is for scav extracts, and the blue is for both PMC and scav extracts. If you click on an icon, you can also see the specific requirements for each extraction. So we can see the dorms vehicle extract requires 5,000 rubles per player, and the black SUV must be present. But if there are no requirements, you will see that there are no requirements, and you can use this extract every raid. So back to our previous example, if I spawn here, I know I probably don't have Ruoff, but I do probably have Old Gas and ZB1011. So if I had to go through dorms, I would look to get across the river, go through dorms, get what I needed, and then plan the rest of my route, either looping around this edge here and getting to my extract, or crossing the main road and popping into this area to go extract out of Old Gas and see if the green smoke is there. This map also can show you all of the loot, the scavs, the sniper scavs, the boss spawns, and quest locations for you on each map. So again, the main thing I use this map for is to plan my raids. After I spawned in, I would take the first minute or two to plan where I'm going to go and how I'm going to extract. That way I'm not panicking. When sniper scav starts shooting at me and I don't know where I'm going. Getting familiar with the maps also takes time. So spawning in with your scav and exploring, not necessarily trying to get the most loot or kill other PMCs, but just to explore the map and practice an extraction. Could also do this in offline mode. I don't prefer to go offline mode because you're guaranteed to not progress with anything. Even with the scav, you could extract with some loot that you could use or you could sell. But this is a great resource for learning the maps on Escape from Tarkov. The next section we're going to talk about is the health mechanics. Now this is not my chart, so shout out to whoever made this. But it's a little more complicated than it needs to be for beginning. So we're going to focus on the top icons and what they mean. So the first category we're going to talk about are bleeds. There's a light bleed and a heavy bleed. Different items are used to cure the heavy and light bleeds. But when you see these pop up on the top left-hand corner of your screen, this means you are bleeding and you need to find a way to stop the bleeding. Otherwise, your health will decrease over time. In the beginning of the game, the first items you're probably going to use to stop a light bleed are bandages or the car kit. The bandage will only heal the light bleed and nothing else, while the car kit or the Salewa will actually heal the limb while curing the bleed. For heavy bleeds, the main item you're going to want to look for in the beginning is the red tape or the Esmarch, and just like the bandage, it will only heal the bleed and not heal any part of the limb. So loading into every raid, I recommend going in with at least a heavy bleed heal, and depending whether I had them or not, I would load in with a light bleed heal, the bandage. The next category we're going to talk about are fractures. This is breaking bones, breaking arms, breaking legs, and this is healed mainly by splints or aluminum splints. The item you want to focus on in the beginning are the splints to heal your fractures. If you have a broken leg, leg and you don't use a splint to heal it, or you don't heal it, you'll be limping around. And if you try to sprint, your character will be screaming and making tons of noise. And if you end up with a broken arm, then when you ADS, your gun will be swaying pretty uncontrollably. So you want to get that patched up as soon as you can. For fracture heals, in the beginning, I normally don't bring anything in. I might keep a splint in my secure container, but most of the time I bring a painkiller, which is this section. If you see this icon in the top left corner of your screen next to your character's health, then that means you will be able to overcome fracture pains. Your character will still yell if they're running, if you have a broken leg, but you will at least be able to withstand most of the bad side effects that come from a fracture. Similar to a fracture, sort of, is the blackened out limb category. This just means that that limb is completely unusable, and the only way to restore a blacked out limb is by using a CMS or a Survival 12 kit. In the beginning of the game, you're definitely going to want to keep a CMS in your secure container for the chances that you get a blacked out stomach. Because if you get a blacked out stomach, then your food and your water meters will decrease rapidly, and you'll need to get that patched up in order to make it to the extract, more than likely. Then that brings us to the actual healing items. The main item in the beginning is going to be the cheese, or the AI2, or probably the car kit again. The red number signifies how much healing value that particular item has left. And as you heal your limbs, it will take away certain values, and in the end the item will disappear after being used up completely. So in the end, what does this really mean? It means that loading in every raid, you need to have a heavy bleed at least, and a healing item, and probably some painkillers and a CMS kit. However you want to carry these things is up to you. I typically will buy a heavy bleed and bring that in my pocket slot every raid, as well as a healing item, and then I keep a splint and a CMS in my secure container. That way I don't have to load into every raid with a new one each time. There is also a strategy of keeping a grizzly in your secure container. A grizzly can heal any light bleed, any heavy bleed, any fracture, and also carries a ton of health points at 1800 compared to 100 for the cheese. But it is a 4-slot item, and if you have the standard version of Tarkov, that's going to be your entire secured container. But at least you won't have to worry about bringing in new heals every raid. The next section, we're going to be talking about quest items. I won't spend as much time here, but this is a great graphic from the Tarkov wiki, which can be found online, and it gives a list of all of the items that you will ever need for any quests from any trader. It is sorted by top items are earlier on quests and bottom items are for later on quests, which is very nice. When I first started out, I didn't really focus too much on this as I was just trying to learn the maps, the combat, and other mechanics like healing. But as you progress further and get more comfortable with those things, finding these quest items will make completing quests and leveling up a lot quicker and a lot easier. And this is just a good reference for what items you will or will not need as you're looting. So while trying to learn the maps, I would spawn in as a scav, wander around, loot things. I'd be keeping my eye out for these items, knowing that I will need them in the future. But again, I would recommend prioritizing learning the maps over finding all these quest items early on. Similar to quest items, next we'll be talking about the hideout and what items you need for the hideout. Again, this is something that I personally didn't focus on until later. And also this graphic isn't as well laid out as the quest item. It is a little bit more difficult to come up with something to show all the items you will need. But this is every item you will need to fully complete your hideout and max out your hideout. So again, as you're looting, look out for these items. But again, I didn't prioritize these as I was trying to learn the maps and complete other quests. The hideout definitely can help you, and it is important later on in the game as you become a higher level, doing things like crafting ammo, crafting other supplies. But in general, in the beginning of the game, I would recommend just every once in a while clicking into your hideout, see if there's anything that you can upgrade or if there's anything you're close to, find those items and maybe target those as you're going through the raids, either as a scav or a PMC. Also, I have found once you get past level 15 and you make it to the flea market, which is a big feat for beginners, these items are the money-making items, so I would go on a lot of money runs and looking for these items to sell in the flea market, as a lot of people are trying to complete their hideouts. People end up paying a lot of rubles for these items, and especially later into wipe, you'll typically be able to sell these items for a lot of rubles. And the final piece we're going to talk about is weapon modding and how to find what the best budget builds are for your current level. So we'll go through a couple of the right-click menu options. First and foremost is filter by item. What this will do, it will bring up the item that you clicked on. So in this case, this is an AK-102. If I right click filter by item, it will bring up AK-102s available for purchase. In this case, I'm above level 15, so I've unlocked the flea market. If you are not, you will see just this screen, and you'll see that it is locked. It is locked for me as well. Loyalty level 3 unlock for mechanic. But that is the filter by item. The next is linked search. Now this is where you start getting a little bit more complicated, but not really once you learn it. Linked search will bring up any piece of equipment or item that can be attached or is linked to the item that you are searching on. So if this is AK-102, I clicked on linked search. This will bring up weapon attachments that can be placed onto my AK-102. We can filter again for just traders only, assuming 1, you don't have the flea market, 2, you're just at level 1 traders. What I liked to do was to bring down these drop down menus, get familiar with what these are. For example, if I wanted to look at magazine options for my AK-102, what am I able to get? And you can then see with your current trader status, what can you purchase? Same thing with muzzle devices, stocks, etc. And then the next 2 that we're gonna go over is first the edit preset function. What this does is it brings up the weapon or the item that you are inspecting, and it will give you the option to mod it with any attachment that is available for the specific gun, whether you have it unlocked from traders or not. So this is how you can click around, see what attachments go on to certain guns. So you can see right here, there's not any way to get a sight on this AK-102 given this current build, but I know that if I change the receiver to say a Bastion, that now I have the option to select any sight I want to place on top of this rail. Same thing with attaching a flashlight. Typically this gun will come with some handguard that doesn't allow for flashlights. There's no option to edit this. But if I choose, say, this right here, I now have the opportunity to attach a flashlight on the right side of the gun here. Or I can attach a foregrip to the base of the handguard. Change the pistol grip. Any modding I want to do can be done here on this edit preset screen. Now, if you want to build this, you will go to this assemble button here, and it will pop up with the missing parts that you have for this build. In this case, the only piece I'm missing is this handguard. So if I click buy parts, it will bring up that this is not available because the filter is for traders only. Now, if you have the flea market unlocked after level 15, you can uncheck that and you will see that this is the cheapest of this handguard available on the flea market right now. You can purchase, I don't want to in this case, but this gives you the option to build the gun how you wish. You can save this preset as any gun build that you wish. You can save it, and then later on you can open it back up again if you wanted to build the gun again. Now for me, I typically know exactly what I want to build, so this menu has gotten a little bit quicker. For me, typically, I don't use this menu as much because normally I'm killing PMCs and taking their guns and just running whatever they had because I'm too lazy to build a gun for myself. But this gives you the flexibility and the option to be able to build what you want given your trader level. Back to the menu here again. The next one is modding. Now this is the same thing as edit preset, but it will only give you the options for attachments and items that you have already in your stash. So for example, these are the scopes that I have available in my stash already. I can attach them. I can attach any handguard that I currently have available, any silencer. And so once I have built this, I can now hit back and see that the gun is now exactly as I built it using the pieces that I already had in my stash. These tips are good for if by yourself you want to come up with new builds for any guns that you already have in your stash or that you can buy from the traders. But if you're looking for builds that already exist that are the best and statted out max that you can given your trader level, you can look up other guides on YouTube is what I did when I was just starting out. But once you start learning the maps and you can start extracting as a scav, I started building up my attachment pile and then started building out guns with attachments that I had in my stash. Anyways, that's going to wrap up today's video going over some tips and tricks for those who are just starting out, hopping onto the Escape from Tarkov addiction train. Hope you're having a good time with the game, and I hope to see you back for another video.